Hello everyone, my name is Notepad and I write games for fun. Today we're working on Granbelm, Dancing in the Midnight Realm. So, yesterday, we worked quite a bit on things like advancement and other things. So if we go down here, the Illusions Realm in U, we actually did things like narrating your development. And we expanded unions quite a bit. And we're also going to be expanding some other things today. But first, dealing how it took me to that page instead of the right page, we have to click right here. We gotta hit the little recycle button and yada bing, where we gotta be. So, let's see what we need to do. Chapters and stages. Who lives, who dies, who tells your story. So, let's see. Alright. We got our handy trusty notepad here. As the characters fight, survive, and thrive. Battle. Yeah. Cease. Clean my glasses off a little bit so I can actually see, you know, that valuable thing when we're actually doing games. So, let's... Battlefield will change and become even more a battle. Battlefield will change and become even more difficult to navigate. How do I want to word this? So, various stages represent the playing field shrinking from hundreds of participants to the final two competing for victory. As the characters fight, survive, and thrive, the battlefield will change and become even more difficult to navigate. Every stage. Every stage is comprised of 2 to 6 chapters. On average, half the chapters will be dedicated to the mundane world, and the other half dedicated to the illusion. Fighting and conversing. Two sides of the same coin in Granbelm. Today, could be one less enemy tomorrow. Each night of Granbelm. And 16 turns. Representing half-hour intervals of the 8 hours of night. Granbelm was split into 16 turns, half-hour intervals, and 8 hours of night. So effectively, every time combat begins, you have 16 turns to deal with the enemy. And that's quite a bit. But if you spend turn... yeah, okay, 16 turns work. I might put a side note in there to increase it, depending on how you want to do things. Each night, Granbelm split 16 turns and half-hour intervals, the 8-hour night. At the end of the 16th, participants of the night go back to the mundane world till the next full moon. Okay. If a character is eliminated during this time, eliminated. If anytime a character is eliminated, I'm gonna take this part out. Don't worry about that. Now we get to decide where we want to put this. So at the end of the day, Granbelm's distinct individual has climbed to the top of the pile of wreckage and slew their enemies to become the Princeps Mage. However, participants Granbelm. Final two competing victory. Final two competing victories. The characters fight each. Let's do side note. More turns. Eve. So that would be. I just want to make sure I'm doing my math right. Yeah, it'd effectively be 32 turns in total. Seems like too many. Having it to 8 turns per hour is viable. There we are. Developments, unions, awesome. All right, awesome. So now we get to do these three. Now, what are these three in general? Pretty much these are going to be about, depending on how it is, the first two are only going to be about 2-3 paragraphs each, about effectively what kind of games you can run in this kind of system and what to expect. While the last one is going to be a little bit more unique and kind of, dare I say, flavored to this kind of game. And what do I mean by that? Well, Puppet Masters, I've talked about Puppet Masters before, but the general gist is that Puppet Masters are multiple characters per player, and they're all kind of competing against each other, but not really, and the goal is to have your girl, one of your people, win. But you don't want to also give away who are your people because everyone else wants to win. If you're all working together, well, that's really convenient. Suddenly everyone starts getting blown out of the air. So it's kind of that deceptive practice where you want to work together, but you don't want to work together. And it's knives out, everyone staring at each other, but only one of your characters can win. So do you really want to pair two of your girls against each other at the end? Not really. Maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you want to, sacrifice one right away so the girl that you actually want to win lives. You don't want to leave it up to chance. So let's see. So, let's get writing. The competition where many magicians enter, but only one leaves victor. However, the battle to reach such a lofty goal is not easy. Reach such a goal is not simple. Characters in Battle Royale. Interested and care only about themselves. Unions are born out of convenience or contracts. Friends are made and lost in an instant. And the final duel will always be between those who know each other too well. For the narrator, a battle royale is the closest to the show as possible, relating to the story beats and overall impressions of it. However, your personal battle royale may be different. There is always room for innovation, creativity, Magiacontus to mess with its desired victor, with its desired champions. Play with them. Harass them. Let them make enemies. Lose friends. And decide if they really want to become the ultimate mage. Magical girl hunting. The simplest to understand and run. Magiacontus doesn't really care for who. It doesn't really, let's see, Magiacontus doesn't really care who is the last standing. Only that by the end, of its arbitrary time limit, the magician with the most blood on their hand wins. In a magical girl hunting game, the characters are tasked with stopping, destroying, and overall hunting their peers. More kills equals more chance, equals more likelihood of becoming the ultimate magician. Ultimate magician. Also means the more sadistic, powerful, and generally monstrous tend to rise above the rest of the pack with ease. Characters in a magical girl hunting scenario are aggressive, dangerous, and care little of the lives of their comrades. Victory is achieved through battle and glory, not hiding or negotiating. However, the more powerful you are, the more likely others will band together to stop you. However, the more powerful one is, the more likely others will band together to stop them. It's a balancing game of becoming strong, but not strong enough to paint a target on their back. For the narrator, the magical girl hunting game is one purely about combat. The story beats should reflect it. This is not a game about friendship and how to survive. It's about the power of friendship, about how the power of friendship can be weaponized to blow an enemy out of the sky. Finally, Puppet Masters. The Puppet Master is less a game about the characters, more a game about the players. In charge of a small group of characters, guiding them, making sure they're magicians are successful overall to feed their own selfish power. More in line with the mind over there also to complement, understand far easier than that. same puppet master. Characters to be fighting one another and pitched battle to the death. For the narrator. Obviously, one of the more complex methods. Playing Granbelm. Dancing in the Midnight Realm. Goal of the objectives as well as motives. The goal for a puppet master may not even be to win, but simply amass more girls than the other. Simply amass more mana by destroying others, or even just having a character form larger and form a large union. Make sure each player has a set of objectives as well as secret objectives, forcing each of the puppet masters to buy, trade, sell, and ultimately use the lives of their own characters for their own ends. No one wins. There we go. So pretty much with Puppet Masters, what I'm going for here is the idea that the players are playing themselves, you could say, and their goal is effectively to complete their own objective. They're completely alien objectives. So, for example, you might be a character, you might be a player, who you have the known objective that you want to gather as many characters as you physically can. That's what you want to do. You just want to have as many characters in your possession than another player does. And it doesn't matter if they are alive or dead. All that is that you had them in your group at one point. So you're constantly kind of trading your girls away, you're trading people away. You're being like, oh, well, I'll give you my Arminox. My one girl here is a great blaster. I built her from the ground up to completely annihilate everything. I'll give you her for this session if you give me 2 of them for this session. Everyone enters the fight. Everyone enters their name, and now he's controlling 2 characters, and you're just controlling one. One super blaster. But these 2 characters are in a union together, and those 2 characters aren't. But you also have a secret objective: is you want to be the only puppet master with characters left. You completely suicide 2 of them. And I mean, they act complete morons and get killed right away. But you don't want to immediately kind of play your hand on that. That it's like, oh yeah, I want to be the only one with characters left. So you got to play a little bit sneaky. You want to be a little bit, I'm seeing you. You don't see me, but I can see your plan. And suddenly the other players working together with you are trying to stop these 2 characters from killing themselves in glorious combat, while another player might have an objective saying they want to keep everyone alive as long as possible. Each stage that they have all the characters alive, they're being more successful. So your opponent that you trade stuff with, they're also like, do I want to kill my character? So he stops getting points. The idea with the puppet master is that everyone's kind of has their own alien objectives and their own very strange perception of how to win. Well, the game master, Magia Contus, their goal is, ultimately speaking, I want to win. I at the end of the day, I win if you all lose. And it's kind of changes the dynamic of the game to be a little bit more fourth wall. Because there is indirectly a lot of little fourth wall breaking things, and they do bring up puppetry a lot. Like, oh, you're just a puppet. You're not a real person. in the show at least. I'm washing my trash can, so I have a bunch of like just random trash on my desk right now. So I could probably add another one, but I can't think of it. Oh god, I've made a mistake. Okay, let's hit that button. Okay. So let's see, we added this today. Chapter stages in nighttime. We also added all of this tonight. So let's see, we are done with this. Alright, now we are in the tough part, cleaning up Arminock's creation. So we're going to break this down a little bit. I don't think we're going to do it all tonight, but we're going to break it down a little. So what we need to do effectively. So let's see. So overall, we can say that starting characters have 500, not 5,000, 500 mana. And overall, we want most Arminoxes. So the standard Arminox is to have a head, which is default, and that costs head, torso, 2 legs, 2 arms. That's our standard Arminox setup right here. And we'll say 50 for the head. You know, again, you don't want to get the head hit at all. Let's say 150 for the torso. Hundreds for the legs, so we'll make that 200. And 200. And 200. We're already over. So more like 100 here, 100 here. There, 100 there. So we're looking at 350 and then 250 for abilities and such. So do we want things to be a little bit heavier duty, or do we not want them to be a little heavier duty? You know what? We have been streaming for 40 minutes now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it here, and I'm going to look at this all today, probably the rest of tonight and tomorrow. And we're going to write this all. We're going to see if we can't wrap this up in one stream. It might be 1 or 2, depending on how things go for it. But we'll see what we can do about wrapping everything up as soon as we can. Alright, well, thank you all very much for anyone who's watching the VOD. If you're on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. If you're on Twitch, leave me a follow. I stream roughly every night. Thank you all very much, and have a wonderful rest of your day.